Welcome all Autobots, Decepticons, Maximals, and Predacons to the top 6 summer picks of 2023. We hope you enjoy this summer special. MJ Lee did not wish to wait till the end of the year to do this type of video. However, he does want to tell you something in person before jumping into the list of some fine Cybertronians. So, without a further ado, here is your host, MJ Lee 29.
Well, welcome back everybody to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. Well guys, I know it's been a minute since I've actually been on the channel. We had a couple weeks of sickness there, and then after that we were showing the secondary channel some time and attention that it deserved. And so like I said, it's been a minute. Now, as you saw in the thumbnail, we are actually taking a look at 6 or technically 7 figures. But before we get into that, one more thing that I do want to go ahead and mention is that I think I may owe some of you an actual apology, because in one of my videos I had said something to the effect of how I was looking at the views and how they were less. After some time in reflection, I realized that that is not what's important to me. The reason that I do this is because I like the franchise, I enjoy some of the characters from that franchise, and really the reasons, like what we're going to be doing today, is because I want to share those things that I like about those characters with you guys. That's what is important. That's why I do this. So if I had off-put any of you by that comment that I made about the views, then I apologize. And if you weren't offended by it, well, then this is just something that I felt I had to do. But anyway, with that being said, now that my head is in the correct space and I have remembered why I do this, let's go ahead and jump into our top 6 summer picks of 2023. And we're actually going to be starting off with none other than our boy, the G1 Retro Animation Accurate Hot Rod. And with that being said, that it means that his colors, I enjoy finally seeing him in the hue that he had in the movie, as opposed to the traditional red that we're always kind of stuck seeing him with. Now again, because this is the original mold, we're not expecting crazy articulation with this thing, but it is really just a nice looking display piece, essentially is what it is. Plus, the other thing that I've always liked about this mold, and the Generation 1s in general, is that they were designed with their vehicle modes being the first and foremost thing, with kind of the robots feeling like a more secondary sort of idea. Which all that really means is that in vehicle mode, they roll extremely well. So for our honorable mention, definitely I felt it had to go to this boy. Starting off with our official number 6, and our boy Polar Claw. Now, if you guys have known, I've had this guy since about February, and I've really been wanting to do a review of this guy. And I know it's kind of funny, here we are in the middle of summer and we're talking about a polar bear. But I do plan on doing this guy, him, and hopefully if I feel like it, maybe Tripredicus. We'll have to kind of see how that goes. But some of the early features of those Kenner Beast Wars guys, they just kind of have a definite feel that as the line got refined and went along, you kind of lost that little clunkiness. But this boy, especially being among the first age of Beast Wars figures, he is just jammed. You can tell with how chunky this boy is, because bears are known to be thick, but they're not known to be this thick. Now, one feature I will show you, because I want to save everything about this guy for his actual review, but one thing I do want to kind of show you is that in beast mode, polar bears are known to stand up, and when they do, when you pull his legs together and make him stand up, he actually exposes those 2 fangs that you see there, and that's just kind of a weird sort of feature that this guy is just jam-packed with, but I love it. So, I'm looking forward to doing this boy somewhere down the line. Our number 5 pick is none other than our boy Cosmos. Now, do I really need to say anything about this figure? I think everybody has watched the 1,000,001 reviews that people did of this guy. And the one thing that I want to go ahead and mention is that it wasn't the hype surrounding this figure that makes it special to me. My friend, in a manner of speaking, went the distance to get this actual boy for me, and that is why he is special to me. Because as a Transformers fan, yeah, I wanted to experience the Cosmos mold. And going back and forth between the modes, it's actually kind of fun. And that's something that I don't feel every Transformer has mastered, but yet this boy does that. And, you know, whether he's fighting Decepticons, being the rally vehicle at a race, or even just rocking a Beast Alliance figure, this boy looks amazing in his robot mode. But also the fact that in his alt mode, he's a 1950s UFO. Now, to people outside the fandom, that may sound frankly ridiculous, but to us, that's kind of one of the many things that makes this boy special, which should be among many of the reasons that we love our boy Cosmos here. Again, it shouldn't be the hype that makes this boy special, but instead what he actually is, and the character he represents. And our number 4 pick is our boy Optimus Prime from the Studio Series Gamer Edition. Now let me tell you this. Some Transformer figures are chunky without being clunky, and at the same time they can be rather jacked. And you know what? This boy fits all 3 of those qualifiers. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention in his review is that our boy does have a removable matrix with some excellent looking chest detail. And you know what? He was sharing the spotlight with Barricade, so it's probably not surprising that I missed something. I'm just kind of surprised that it was something significant like that. However, the other thing that I really don't care about for this figure is the fact that they want you to plug in his arm to his butt, which from robot mode you can plainly see. And so, slight little nitpick. However, on the reverse side of that coin, the fact that they managed to implement a feature where it looks like it does in the game where his arm is replaced, that's the opposite side of the coin that is really awesome. And again, like I said, this boy is chunky, and I just like how he looks. I mean, it doesn't look bad, and the fact that his posing is not hindered by how thick and blocky this guy is, that is just something that puts this boy so high up on the list. And when we look at this boy's vehicle mode, I love how it looks like something between a rolling fist and a Art Deco onslaught piece of goodness. And the great thing about it is when you go from that vehicle mode to this boy's robot mode, it's not complex. It feels clean, it feels crisp, and you see how things go where they should. And it's because of all of that that I just enjoy this boy, especially being the size he has. At a Voyager, it just finally feels like it hits every single point that it needs to justify this boy being as good as he is. And that is definitely why he lands at number 4. And our number 3 pick is none other than Tarn. And let me tell you, are you really surprised? This guy's video, let me tell you, it was one of the funnest ones to shoot. Wouldn't technically Tarn be the perfect heir to the Decepticon throne? I think that he would make a heck of a lot better leader than, say, I don't know, Starscream, who we know would definitely raise an objection.
I am the leader! Please, don't!
Well, it's not like Starscream ever knew when to quit anyway, but Tarn is notorious for not tolerating traitorous trash, so it makes sense. I know that may have been a little bit dark, but that totally matches this dude's vibe. And I think I have to say that his robot mode is the strongest thing about him. And while that is true, that does not mean that his vehicle mode is a slouch either. You can see here with him rocking the blast effects, I mean, the boy just owns it. And like we said in this boy's video, that there actually may have been some inspiration taken from the Fall of Cybertron mini-boss that you fight, which is the Destroyer. And you know what? If that's true, I love the fact that Tarn has not only taken that inspiration, but he's ran with it and totally made it his own. You can probably imagine that an IDW version of Bludgeon, I'm going to enjoy just as much, especially if it's coming from such an excellent mold that rocks, again, like we just were talking about, both vehicle mode and that awesome, sick-looking robot mode. And coming in at number 2 is none other than one of my favorites that I just recently acquired, which is the Transmetal Rhinox. And let me tell you this boy, he appeared on the secondary channel, and I told the story over there, but I want to go ahead and recap it for the main channel in case you didn't see that video, is that whenever I was a kid, these figures were being released in the early 2000s to supplement the Beast Machines line because it wasn't doing too hot at the time. So they just bumped out a bunch of recolors of pre-existing Transmetal molds, which our boy Rhinox was one of them. Now, I remember my dad going up to a bin and picking up a figure that was just nothing but Beast Wars figures, if I remember right. And he picked up the package and he said, "Hey, you could get this one." And it was this blue and green, garishly colored version of Rhinox. And at the time I thought, that thing looks terrible. I don't want that garish Rhinox. Well, here I am, a man in my 30s, and I got to thinking one day, you know, I kind of want that garish Rhinox. So the fact that he's now in the collection after a long delay, there's just kind of something amusing about that. It just kind of has a life of its own, whether it's in its armored attack mode or whether he's just in straight up beast mode like we see here. However, while Rhinox is not the type of character to go hard, when you look at his robot mode, you kind of see that the boy has got the aggressive factor turned up to like 11. And you can see how when him squaring off with our boy Sky Shadow over here, that he is not holding back. And poor Sky Shadow, well, let's just say that things have not turned out so well for him. And you can see that Rhinox, well, that's not his character. It was still funny just to show him with Sky Shadow being wrecked. And like I said, that's not this boy's MO at all. That's not his character. But the fact that this figure can pull off something like that is so much fun. And even with his horn weapon in robot mode, it now has a secondary use aside from just being a stabbing weapon. Is in the Armada comic books, they reinterpreted it as a gun. And the fact that retroactively you can use this version of Rhinox and make him have his horn weapon be that also, that's actually really kind of cool. So I'm sorry, I had to recap the story and tell you guys everything I did on the other channel, but this figure, there's so much about him that I absolutely dig. But if I am this excited about a 1990s 2000 Transmetal character from Beast Wars, who do you really think could top this boy? Would you also be surprised to know that it's not a Beast Wars character technically? And that would be because our number 1 boy is actually from Beast Wars 2, which is why this is a technicality. But isn't our boy amazing? And okay, let me tell you, the Titans Return one, for the time that I had it, I enjoyed it, and I was really excited because I was like, hey, I finally got a version of Lio Convoy, or as they prefer to call him in America, Leo Prime. And you know what? It did its thing. It was good for its time, but clearly the Legacy Evolution boy totally kills it. Now, if you notice over here, he does actually have his Energon Matrix, which I love the fact that you can include a blast effect with that. That is awesome. But one thing that I do enjoy is always seeing a more accurate Beast Wars logo, like the one on his chest here. I mean, I'm sorry, you can see I'm excited. Clearly I like my number 1 boy here. And the fact that it's not Optimus Prime, it's not Optimus Primal, but it's his own character that's kind of cool in his own right. And there is just so much about this guy that I absolutely enjoy. That is why for our summer picks, he ended up as number 1 on the list. So guys, I hope you actually enjoyed taking a look at those figures with me. But if you're wondering, well, didn't you just reveal kind of half your list for what you would normally show us at the end of the year? Not really, because this is how the list currently stands. And while these boys are sitting, that doesn't mean they're going to stay there. Because, let me explain, because we still have so many figures to come out. We have the Armada versions of Optimus and Megatron to come out. Deathsaurus is yet to be released. So I don't know where these boys are going to stand if they stay on the list at all, because any of those ones that are going to come out over the next 6 months, I mean, they could end up superseding these boys. And again, I don't know because I haven't interacted with a lot of those figures yet. I'm looking forward to it. But whenever we get to the list in December, you'll just kind of have to see if any of these boys survived the new competition that's coming up against them. And so with that being said, guys, I'm looking forward for the things yet to come. And again, I appreciate you guys just tuning in for these videos. Like I said, it's all about the love for the hobby is why this should be done, and I'm going to try and keep that as my mindset going forward. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, guys, we'll see you in another review.